started. All right. It now being past 7, I am, calling this meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Get through a few administrative items first. We've got some minutes to review. I take a look at first the minutes of September 9th. All right, any edits or comments on page 1?
This is just an editorial, but if you read the list of present members, the way that reads is that we were all on the Zoom call. And I think if you literally read that, it does. So if you wanted to just put Zoom call and then put like a separate line for Zoom call, and then put the people who are attending by Zoom on a separate line. That's how I read it.
I can start doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's like 3 different ways you could do it.
Right.
Yeah, you could also do it like, and Ernest Dodd, semicolon, and then and whatever you want. But I think that's probably a good point.
Yeah.
Separate both. Right. Hey, just go through the minutes.
Oh, okay. This clock must be 5 minutes fast, I swear, because I leave like, I know how long it takes me to get here.
Yeah.
It takes me 10 minutes to get here. I leave 10 of.
Don't worry, my phone's just turned 7:04, so
Yeah,
it's like,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
All right. Any comments, edits on page 2? Under the member comments, the first sentence.
I don't have. Right here. That's my name. Oh, is it the 9th?
Yeah, on page 2. The first paragraph under the member comments at the top. These on September, is it supposed to be 2 pieces of correspondence dated on September 9th, or that you just submitted them on September 9th? I'm not sure I understood it.
Submitted on the 9th. And
Okay, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah. One just general thing is just take I think on page 1. There's a couple places on page 1 where like applicant is lowercase, and on page 2, for example, it's capitalized, just make sure it's consistent.
On this whole issue about the split fees that, that we wanted, wasn't the problem in terms of whether we had the authority to do this because of issues with the state?
Yeah, but I think we didn't discuss it at this meeting. I think we discussed that factor we did, but I think we talked about it at the next meeting.
Okay,
I think the first meeting we just simply talked about whether or not it's a good idea or not.
I see.
So. Any edits, page 3?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I think it's the 6th paragraph down where I asked how many patrons will be at the dance studio. I think there's a word missing. Douglas stated that less means provided a maximum number of people could be at the building, but the number exceeds. I think it's if the number exceeds what would be needed. No, that doesn't make sense either.
Well, no, basically he said he provided the maximum number of people who could be in the studio. Did he actually do that? I don't remember. But anyway.
Oh, I see, but the number, oh,
But,
sorry.
but
Got it.
that's higher than we'd ever have, so.
Yeah, got it, okay.
Final paragraph of page 3 was just a typo. Second sentence, Raleigh stated that a horse stalls. I think it's a, to be deleted.
Should be a horse
Take
stall.
out the A.
Yeah. Is there are multiple horse stalls in that?
Because I have it without the S as a correction.
Oh.
Because that,
Is it a horse stall? I thought there were multiple stalls in there.
Just-
Okay,
So keep it plural. Keep it plural.
or looking at the version I just sent.
I am looking at the original version, not the regular version. And now page 4. Anything on 4 or 5?
I move that we accept the meeting minutes of September 9th as edited.
Second. We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of accepting the minutes, September 9th as edited?
Do I have a vote on this issue? I'm not sure.
No.
Oh, Ruth is here.
No, Ruth is here, yeah.
Oh,
All right, 5-0, thank you. All right, we got a few more minutes. Let's take a look at the minutes, September 25th. At the very top. Sorry. One, two. Oh, sorry.
I don't have the 25th one, sorry, but the marked up version.
Okay.
Pull it up.
Sorry, maybe we cut that. Because it's only 2 pages, I'll take edits for any of the 2 pages. Take it on the first line. Let's see if any edits, comments, questions?
So the red line version, is all gonna be- so I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of September 25th as written.
Sorry. Motion, second, discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Minutes are accepted as amended. Any member updates of a zoning or planning retreat? No. Okay. We do have a number of pieces of correspondence that we've received, all of which actually pertain to public hearings that will be taking place, so I'm not gonna go over those right now. Otherwise, I see it's 7:15. by, it's the clock on the wall, so I'm gonna go with that.
Yep.
If that's okay. And that is our time for the public hearing for 688 Great Road. I'm gonna open the hearing and I entertain a motion to waive the reading.
I move the way we.
Second.
Whatever.
Close enough. All right, we have a motion, we have a second, any discussion, hearing none. All right, all in favor, oh, wait. Actually, before I open the hearing, you can't make the motion because you're not part of this hearing.
I'll move it.
That's right.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, so just for purposes of the record, Ernie will not be a voting member, as he voluntarily, or at the request of the chair, recused himself, and Maria will be, as an associate member, will be appointed to as a voting member for this hearing. So I'll entertain a motion from somebody else who actually can vote.
I make a motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to waive the reading of the public notice?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes. Because of a glitch, I need to request a motion to continue the hearing before we kind of go into it.
I make a motion to continue the hearing.
Until, do we need a?
Until-
Second.
Yeah, to October 28th at 7.
Yeah, until October 28th at 7.
Who's second?
And Ruth seconded?
Yes.
Excellent. We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All right, all in favor of continuing the public hearing for 688 Great Road to October 28th at 7 p.m.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I suppose I should have physically sat there while you were doing
I
it.
wasn't gonna ask you to for this, yeah, because by the time you sat down,
It
you
would have been done
Yeah.
anyway.
but I appreciate the reminder. Yeah, so for
I should.
on the 28th, yeah. I mean, you don't even have to attend if you don't want to, but if you do attend, just because, yeah, yes. So, I did it when I was in a voter, so which is what we do.
Yep.
So, all right. So with that, we'll postpone it. So our next public hearing, 56 Harvard Road is not until 7:45. So unless anyone here has an objection, I'd like to take up the discussion of the comprehensive permit decision for 0 Randall Road at the Stow Acres North Course. Does anyone have any concerns with that? No? Okay. A draft decision was distributed. I believe some edits were proposed for discussion.
I would just suggest from a process standpoint that if the edits were typographical or semantic, that we don't need to go through them. But if there's any substantive discussion, we could review that.
That's fine. I mean, Ruth, I don't know about you. I do love talking about grammar. So, I mean, we could spend a few minutes on each, but I'm willing to, I'm joking. I'm just pointing out.
Did we get the letter from the applicant regarding changes?
Yes,
Okay.
so we have received that. So I don't have that listed in the decision itself because that's post compliance instead of public hearing, so it's over. In terms of comments, I got a few from Andy and they were mostly minor and I've incorporated them.
Yeah.
Incorporated them within, and then Mark, the applicant, has reviewed the decision as well. He just asked for 2 points to be clarified.
Sure.
One was to make it clearer that the intent of the road acceptance to be more clear, that the board intends for the roads to become public once complete. So we added in a line about that.
I don't think we care, it's up to him.
It was up to the town.
Well, the town will accept them, but
Right.
he doesn't necessarily have to put them up to be a public way.
So
Where's the change from here?
So the change is on this condition. Hold up, I can print out a full version myself. It's like condition 9 under streets and, or maintenance of public, or maintenance of common infrastructure.
The other page,
Don't have it printed out in front of me, so I'm trying to find it visually. One,
Six. I think it's condition 6. That's the number. Page 14.
yeah, so page 14, condition 6, maintenance of common infrastructure, that first paragraph. That first sentence and the last sentence of the paragraph I have adjusted.
You want to just read it out?
Unless accepted by the town as a public way following the typical street acceptance process, all streets, drives, lanes, and ways must remain privately owned and maintained.
What is the typical street acceptance process?
That's through the planning board, and they would ask for an as-built plan, which is already conditioned within here. And then it would go, our peer reviewer would go through and make sure the street was constructed properly.
Is
And
that,
then it has to go to town meeting.
And we would have to, it goes back and forth between planning board and select board, because the select board has to lay out the road following the plan endorsed by the planning board, and
is
it's,
this outlined anywhere?
yes, in the subdivision rules and regulations of the planning board.
can you articulate that?
Can we say that? Yeah. Just because otherwise it's, you know what the typical one is, but if someone reads it, they're gonna go, I don't know what, like, are we referring to something? So, you know, if we could say like,
As described in. blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
yeah, or as required, I don't know,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, I think it's actually in the general bylaws too. I think that's where it's more laid out.
Wherever it is, just, I think it's a good
Yeah, I
idea.
mean, you can even do it in sort of a catch-all way, you know, like as set forth in any applicable bylaws, process, whatever it is. Because otherwise it makes it sound like we're just sort of doing it the way we want to do it, which, you know, I'm sorry. So I would make that one change. And then I think you said that the last sentence,
The last sentence reads, the board intends for all streets, drives, lanes, and ways to become public ways upon completion of the project.
say that one more time, I'm sorry.
The board intends for all streets, drives, lanes, and ways to become public ways upon completion of the project.
I don't think, I don't love the word intent.
It,
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to go to town meeting.
yeah, town meeting, it does the approval.
Yeah.
They have to present, give the as-bills, have all the monuments down and check all the meets and bounds around the
What the
street.
board agreed to was that we supported his
If you-
submission for the
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, I would be okay with actually changing the sentence and say the board supports,
Right,
yada, 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 yada. But intends and implies that we have some sort of power.
Right, we don't have
And I don't
power.
think we do. But we can put our,
Okay.
yeah,
I don't know if I've ever heard the town turn down a request to become a public way.
yeah, they got.
yeah, but I think if we can just say the board
No, I
supports.
recall it.
Sorry, we can repeat it over and over.
I've been to one that they've done.
It's development
Intends.
off
The
the
board
road.
intends for all
It was
streets,
a while
drives,
ago.
lanes,
So,
ways.
So
I
maybe-
can't even
roads-
remember
Yeah,
what
the
it
board
was, but they
supports
did.
There's huge financial
efforts
issues there, that the town didn't wanna take
For all-
over.
for all, exactly, yeah, something like, yeah,
Or the board supports the applicant's submission for acceptance of all.
yeah, that works out as well. But yeah, we can't,
Yeah, but it's not our jurisdiction.
no. We can say we like the idea, but we can't do anything about it. So, okay. All right, so that was one, and then what was the other clarification?
And then the last clarification question was, or point was about trail maintenance. So I have
Oh, yeah, right.
modified it,
59?
yes, 59. So I modified it to a trail maintenance agreement must be included within the easement conveyance document for the perimeter walking trail. The agreement must be mutually approved by the applicant and the Conservation Commission prior to the final certificate of occupancy.
think that works.
That sounds good. to me.
Yeah,
I think that sounds good. Thanks, Michael.
yeah. I mean, what's interesting is that it gives everyone motivation to actually reach agreement, because otherwise the certificate's not gonna get issued.
Right.
Otherwise, do you have anything else?
And that was it.
I had a question about the 20, on page 18, the hours. Didn't we discuss Monday through Saturday, 7 to 5 or something like that?
Well, we did, but then we also said that 4 o'clock on Saturdays should be the limit.
Okay.
I think that was me.
It was.
Okay.
We had a disagreement on that.
Me too, although
I was-
I wanted 12, but I.
Yeah, I was trying to give the
agreed to
neighbors an
4.
extra, like a little bit of a cut on Saturday.
But I believe that's exactly what we had agreed to there.
And then, on,
Actually, I'm sorry.
okay, so,
Only because it's this paragraph, I just wanted to, this is a little thing, but it says construction must not take place on Sunday or any federal legal holiday. What about Patriots Day?
how about state?
Yeah, what about Patriots Day? The way this is written, they could work on Patriots Day.
Is that an issue?
I live in
Some of us,
Massachusetts.
if I,
You know, some people work on Patriots Day.
I know I work on Patriots
Right.
Day, but I will tell you, I don't like the fact that I work on Patriots Day. I have a problem. I really do, you know?
He'd rather be running.
Here's the thing,
Yeah.
there's no school on Patriots Day.
Right.
I think it's kind of overstepping for us. I think if we do federal holidays, that's enough.
I mean, what's this town typically do? Does it,
Federal holidays.
it is federal?
Yes.
Not a state, really?
I mean, it is a kind of a big holiday around here.
I know, it caught my eye and I was kind of like, wait a minute, so, all right. I mean, I want to be consistent with what we've done in other construction projects, but
You're probably gonna walk that day anyway.
I'm sure yeah, so. Anyways, I apologize, I interrupted you.
No problem. I should have asked you first, you're the boss. On 26, the second paragraph after G, natural gas, and the second paragraph, no dwelling shall be occupied until the improvements specified in the comprehensive permit and set forth on the final plans to serve the actual dwellings are constructed and installed adequately, serving said dwellings to the satisfaction of the police fire. The word, before that, we discussed, they discussed the binding layer, which is 2 inches of asphalt. Then there's a finished layer, which they don't want to put in until after everything is done. This kind of implies it has to be done before they can issue the occupancy permit. And I don't think that's what we want to say. It's still his option. He has to do it at some point, but I don't know how to specify that. Because the final permit cannot be issued until after that, maybe.
You could say something to the effect that improvements specified in the comprehensive permit, comma, minus the finished coat of the paving, or something to that effect. And then somehow make sure that the finished coat of paving is done eventually.
Or another condition.
Yeah. Or just maybe add a sentence to the end that the final coat of the pavement,
Shall be completed by the last occupancy permit.
right,
That'd be the finished coat
pavement.
for the pavements must be completed prior to the issuance of the last occupancy permit. And there's both
This is a last sentence.
At the end of that paragraph, add a sentence, yes. I think that's the suggestion.
In that paragraph as well, sorry, at the end of 26. Um, the dwelling can be occupied, da 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 da. It's a dwelling to the satisfaction of the police, fire, and building departments, or until adequate security acceptable to planning to ensure such things being provided. Is it intentional that it's either or do you mean for it to be in the end?
So it's either they build it and it meets the satisfaction
Or
of,
enough, or we have enough security?
or they pay us and we
Yeah.
finish it.
Okay, just wanna make sure.
Or they post a bond that they're finished by such and such a date.
Did conservation have a chance to take a look at this? Or did they have any comments?
I didn't send it to them, I didn't ask for comments.
So that's fine. No, I was just
I
asking.
think basically, the discussion was concluded with the exception of that trailway. that-
Right. No, I figured I would ask.
On page 20, paragraph 32, state 32, second paragraph, the inspection of the site will be conducted by the contractor, third-party inspector, as required by the planning department. Do you want the planning department, Valerie, or do you want the building inspector? The building department.
I mean, without talking to them about it, I feel like it would fall under the planning department. I
That
don't-
gives you a lot of responsibility, extra work maybe, that's why I'm
I
asking.
mean, I think it's more typical for us to do it. We do it for all
Okay.
other subdivisions and projects. I don't wanna give Frank an extra assignment.
Well, you still could give it to him if you change your mind, if it's with you.
I'm sure she'll
you could
discuss it.
always
Can negotiate
it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hogging this, huh?
No.
On 39 has to do with the micro unit. It's on page 23, the fourth paragraph down. If the micro unit housing is constructed and ceases operation, the town has a right of first refusal to purchase the property, including the lot and all improvements. Each MUB property must maintain an affordable restriction. I thought we decided that it's the MUB owns it, or the organization owns that piece of property. And it's up to them to bring it back. They don't need to offer it to the town for anything. They need to bring it to us to be an affordable unit.
Generally, all units we are offered the right of first refusal for.
Okay, I just don't see the town stepping in necessarily and getting it done.
The town typically the town owns no units at this point,
Yeah.
so.
And they
Yes.
haven't really produced a lot of affordable units with the money that have been provided, so I just.
I think it's important to maintain that option, just so that if the owner of the micro unit can't find a buyer, that we would still retain the opportunity.
Okay,
Wouldn't that fall under SMART?
Mhm.
Yeah. But SMART has a management company who is managing all the affordable housing because the Stow Housing Authority, we don't own any properties. Nor do we
I
maintain.
know it's still housing authority. You're still housing authority?
Yeah.
Oh,
and I attend the SMART meetings.
Okay,
That's the only reason I spoke up.
I didn't know who replaced, so I forget his name now.
It will, no, Mike is still there, it's Mike, me.
Yeah, I know Mike, but,
Yeah.
Okay,
So basically, all it says is the town can buy it, right?
yeah, the town can make an offer for it, yeah. Those are one comment,
Is it-
anyway.
Is it outlined anywhere, just like what that process is?
It's a state,
Is it?
Right.
process.
Okay.
One of those policies of the EOHLC that's,
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if it is
where we
expressed.
ended up with that, actually. That was the overarching discussion is at the end of the day, that's what you have to abide by.
Yeah, but it's that thing where it's like everyone abides by it, but whether or not it's an actual law or regulation, it's just, that's what the agency has said, so that's what everyone does.
And it's all awkward. Those are my comments anyway. Looks good.
Did a very good job of that. Thank you. All right, are there any other comments, questions, concerns about anything that's in here, anything that should be in here that isn't? Things that are not said the way we want them to be? No. Okay. If that's the case, what I'd like to do from a procedural standpoint, in light of the fact that we've got these sort of three groupings of properties within the comprehensive permit, the single family units, the cottage units, and the multifamily building. Rather than asking for a motion to grant the comprehensive permit on a universal level, what I'd like to do is actually take 3 votes, 1 for each. This is the way that this was sort of set up. And it's also been advised that although we do not have to, it would be more appropriate in this instance to do this by roll call, as opposed to really not to do it. So
You also have to put Sue.
yes, yeah. But we gotta do the first 3 first.
So I understand the recommendation, but what's the documentation that supports that process?
Saying that we have to do it that way?
Yeah.
Michael?
It just makes it easier when we submit the
Well,
minutes.
and that's what it is, simple enough. So what's the documentation that says we should do it that way?
There's no legal
And why are we
requirement,
doing it?
just to make it,
For who?
when I submit everything to EOHLC, it'll just show that the proper votes were taken at the end of the process.
I don't, no,
Do
not the
that.
voting. Why are we articulating 3 discrete
this-
entities here? And
So-
what's the purpose for that?
Okay, sorry, I misunderstood what you said. The reason we are doing 3 different decisions is that there are 3 different regulatory agreements for this. So there's going to be one regulatory agreement for the age-restricted apartment building, because that is a rental entity and it's age-restricted. For the rental cottages, we need a separate one because those are rental but not age-restricted. And for the single-family houses, those are for sale units. And because of the 3 different ownership structures and the age restrictions, we need to take separate votes on each.
Okay. We didn't really process it that way, but okay.
Well, we didn't though. I mean, we did have a discussion initially as to whether or not we needed to actually issue like 3 different permits
Right.
as opposed to 1. I mean, I think the decision
But we
is,
didn't speak discreetly to, okay, we're talking about these now, we're talking about those now, we're talking about these now. We always talked about it as a single entity. I'm not objecting, I'm just trying to make sure we're clear about what we're doing here.
oh yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, the fact that there are these 3 regulatory agreements and, I mean, I've always felt a little odd about the fact that there's 3 regulatory agreements, but
Right.
we've got only 1 permit,
Right,
you know, like it doesn't jive. So, Oh, go ahead.
If I can just offer, so on page 10, item 2, there's the description of the 3 different LIP applications. Michael's kind of detailed how this is a collective decision.
Right.
So it is captured there as well. And I believe that this was something that Michael and council and the applicant all worked to come to agreement on as
Yeah,
well.
it's okay.
I mean, in some ways, what we're doing is that, a better way of sort of describing it is typically when we issue like a normal special permit, there's only one decision.
Right.
Technically here, we're issuing 3 decisions, albeit in one document,
Right,
so we're making 3 different votes on each of the decisions. You know,
We're very efficient. So we're actually approving the LIP application.
we're approving decisions that happen to be in response to them. I think that's a better way of maybe characterizing it.
Yes. There was 3 separate LIP applications. The LIP applications were approved by the select board and the and EOHLC. And then these are the comprehensive permit applications that are in response to the LIP application approval.
so what's the right word, what are the right words to
Approve the
propose?
comprehensive permit for the age restricted housing.
So
So I would say we're moving to grant the comprehensive permit with respect to the single family units, then just break it down like that.
Just three times.
Yeah, we do the single family units, the multifamily, and then the rental units. Oh, what is it called? Cottage units?
rental cottage units
Yeah.
is what.
I move that we grant a comprehensive permit approval for the age restricted residents. Is that good enough?
We got the multifamily.
Yes, so you move to grant comprehensive permit for the
I mean, the age restricted.
age restricted apartments.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Ernie?
Aye.
aye,
Ruth?
Aye.
And I vote aye. All right, so that motion passes. We'd like to go next.
I move that we approve the comprehensive permit for the single home dwellings.
Second.
Ruth, gotcha. We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Ernie?
Aye,
Ruth?
Aye.
I vote aye. Last one, or next last one.
I make a motion to approve the comprehensive permit for the rental cottage units.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. I'll take a roll call vote. So Ernie?
aye,
Aye.
Aye. And that motion passes as well. And with that, I'll entertain a motion with respect to the decision.
And move we approve the decision on the application for comprehensive permit for the golf course units.
At 0 Randall Road.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? I presume by the motion is as amended based on what we discussed tonight.
Yes.
Hearing no discussion, I will take a roll call vote. Starting with Ernie.
Aye.
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
I vote aye. With that, the comprehensive permit decision
We are finished.
is approved.
Congratulations.
Thank you to everyone for all their hard work on this.
Yes, thank you, and thank you to staff in particular. You guys did the labor resort on this one. Do I date it?
Yes. you
Yeah.
did it.
Okay.
And there's 4 copies.
Yeah.
Michael, as discussed, I'll swing by tomorrow.
Okay.
Drop my ballot off too.
Still okay.
Triple checking.
Thank you.
All right. That's for you. All right. It being 7:45, we are now going to continue the public hearing for the special permit at 56 Harvard Road. Before we begin, just acknowledge we did receive some correspondence, which has been noted in on the agenda, as well as a couple of pieces received today. A response to those public hearing, Harvard Road So Mad, from Trish Crawford at 34 Harvard Road, which we all have copies of. And we also received a Fox Ballroom Dance Studio business plan special permit that was received today. Right, a 3-page, double-sided document that we received today from the applicant. That was in response to a request by the board. And I believe since our last public hearing, Maria and Lenny, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you guys did do a site visit as well.
Yeah,
Right,
we did.
okay.
We did.
So I just wanted to acknowledge that, that as well, that took place after the last hearing. I believe that we do have, people can keep me honest here, I believe one of the outstanding requests that we had was for a site plan, which I don't believe we currently have, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
the plan that was submitted, is the parking sketch that was received today.
Okay. But typically we receive a more sort of formal kind of stamped site plan. And so, and actually, before I continue, I'll have a question to the board, but I just want to give the applicant a moment. If you want, we have copies of what you submitted. I don't know if you want to say anything about that or have any comments.
Nothing specific. I feel like we've mostly talked about everything that's on there. I mean, if anybody has any questions, of course.
Okay.
And I have the survey I sent you guys, and I said like the parking, like we're not making any changes, like any exterior changes. We're not adding any kind of parking or anything, like we're not like tarring over anything. It's just what's already there. Not the recreation.
If I may ask, on your plan, it says typical party, 15 to 20 participants. Is there gonna be any atypical party?
I mean, that's just my experience based off of, we had the studio for 7 years. So it's not like a new business or anything. And that's just mainly what it is. I don't know, like atypically, that's mainly what it is. But
Yeah, not inside the barn.
yeah, you can see,
outside in a tent, maybe,
But not inside.
yeah, that's. As you guys all gone there, there's not a significant room for like a huge group of people.
Are you okay?
yeah,
We are,
15 hours until later.
so she was very adamant about coming today. I was planning on not.
I was gonna say, I saw you guys come in and sort of my initial reaction was, I mean, I was like, oh, it was false labor, and so, like, you have no obligation, I mean, I'm being dead serious here, like, you
Yes.
do not need to be here, I have no problem asserting some authority and saying, we're not making a decision tonight, like, without you guys here, it's just not fair, frankly,
Yeah.
and so if you wanna go, I mean, please don't.
She and we really were hoping to like get a decision and kind of like get this moving. We are happy to answer any questions you guys all have. You know, we would just maybe ask to keep things on topic if we like open it up to the public, that we're just staying on task so we can
Go to the hospital.
go to the like be reasonable about it. That's all we'd ask.
Okay,
I mean, I helped deliver my son, but I don't know that I can do this again.
yeah, we're not going down that road. Well, just to be clear also, so we don't. So we don't have a draft decision.
I have outlined a decision.
Right.
It outlines talking points for the findings, and it has most of the information about all the submitted materials and correspondence. I have some placeholder ideas for conditions, and then I threw in some boilerplate conditions as well.
I guess my point is, so typically the way it works is that like, there's a written decision that we get, that we can review, and then when we vote, we also vote on the actual written decision. Because we don't actually have a written decision, like in front of us to actually vote on right now, and part of it was like, we were waiting on some of these materials, and having received it, we didn't want to draft a decision and not have the materials, so it was a certain horse before the cart aspect of this. The farthest that we could potentially get today, if we wanted to, is we close the hearing and then deal with the decision at the next meeting. I guess my point is that I don't want you to stay here going, great, we can finish everything tonight, because it's not gonna finish tonight. It'll, at the latest, it'll finish, at a minimum or maximum, it's gonna finish at the next meeting. So, you know, we can have some further discussion here, but I don't wanna keep you here with you thinking that something's gonna happen and it's not. So, yes, technically, something will happen with you, like, you know.
It can happen with that to me.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know what folks on the board wanna do, like, we can talk about this now, we can just continue this, knowing that we need to wait on this, I mean, what open aspects, you know, would it be helpful for us to talk about in order to go down this road?
So
Including any additional information, if there are things from the board that you think is still outstanding.
I've got a couple of things.
So there are some things that other permits have called out that I just kind of incorporated into it. There are hours of operation for the dance studio that was provided, I think, in the business plan. There are capacity limits that are typically set for special permits for the number of patrons allowed within a space. Some permits have limited events that are outside of the typical operation, which I believe my interpretation is these social dance parties would be events outside of the dance studio use.
And in talking about that, are you talking about numbers of individuals, hours, both?
Both, and then the number of events per
Frequency
year.
of occurrence.
Yeah.
There were some things about parking that usually come up. I didn't know what the board's stance is on parking.
I have specific questions on that.
For some of the boilerplate ones that are not in every permit, because This is a little different. I just said that it shall comply with the noise bylaw, the exterior lighting bylaw, the permanent sign bylaw, and that no parking is allowed on Harvard Road, which is a public way.
Okay.
Those are unique to this, but they're typical things that would go in if they're not seeking a waiver from.
I don't think it's there.
Then there are some conditions related to, that are in every permit, such as complying with building code, not polluting groundwater or any other water, no redirection of surface water, erosion control, complying with documents on file, complying with all other applicable requirements of the zoning, construction hours, and complying with other town departments, boards, and commissions. So I haven't set anything specific to this, because I don't know what the board was thinking when we last left this public hearing.
You said you had some questions.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the parking, I was looking at, obviously, the parking regulations and the sizes of the parking spaces. And did my calculations, and to be honest, and for example, on the field, I mean, if we're looking at the two-way, and I assume this would have to be a two-way parking situation. You know, when the parking at 90 degrees, 18 feet for the car, and then 22 feet for or 24 feet for maneuverability, which tells me that this, you know, like the horse ring could only have one row of 13 cars when I did my calculations. And if we wanted to keep, you know, make it less than that, I mean, it'd be like 26 cars in that ring. And my concern, I was looking at parking along the driveway.
Yep.
And they're talking about 3 wide at that point. I honestly don't see where 3 wide fits in. And also, that's where, should someone get hurt or whatever, that's where the ambulance needs to go. So there's the emergency aspect to that one. And the field, to be honest, can only fit 3 cars. If we're following, and again, I know that these regulations are paved parking, and I don't know how that fits with, you know, Greenfield. But again, I wanted to look at this and say, okay, how does this, how, if we were looking at an office building in the center of town, what would we be expecting? And so I was coming up with 2, you know, reserve 2 parking for the house. And I'm actually not counting that. I mean, I was looking at somewhere between 16 space, let's see, let me find my numbers again. At best, if we allowed 2 cars along the road, it'd be 18 cars, 16 to 18 cars. Or if we allowed the double row in the horse ring, it'd end up being 31 cars at maximum. You know, the way I was doing a calculation. Again, my question was, how does that fit in?
Yep.
You know, with this situation.
Okay.
So
He's saying his crowds are from 10 to 20 people at a time. And he says also about 2 people per car. He's not talking about a lot of cars. He's only talking about 10 at most, plus his 2 that he owns probably.
Just one.
Just one. Well, he'll have 2 sooner or later. But I think there's putting him up on the paddock or the horse ring there. You still have quite a walk from there to the barn, having a path, people at night. It gets dark most of the year in the evening. I think your best bet would be parking down by the barn itself in that field, assuming you don't have to expand the septic system. If you're saying you don't, but you're gonna put in peat composting. So with 20 cars, no, you're not gonna have 20 cars, you're gonna have 10 cars. And you can park down beside the garage, by the barn, I mean. You don't really need the field for that, in my of both ways.
Most of the time, people don't need to park in the horse ring. They can honestly just pull in the driveway and there's plenty of space there. But we do have, as we showed, we used the paving regulations, even though it's not the same. For the thing we sent to you, and it shows 31 cars on the thing we sent, which is
It's kind of immaterial, because you're not gonna have that.
way more cars than we could fit people.
If you had some event, a party, your own private party there or something, you want to use that field, that's fine, but
Yeah.
For your everyday classes, I don't think it is really needed.
No, it's like it's
My
a
own level
major
opinion.
overflow. So yeah, we have way more parking places than we could fit people in the barn, so.
I mean, theoretically, you can sort of attack the problem two ways, because if the standard class size maxes out at 10, even if you had people showing up on their own, that's 10 cars.
Yeah.
You know, which basically, I mean, it would be tight. You could probably squeeze them into the driveway. You know, it'd be tight. You know, you put two in the pad.
This is ballroom dancing, which usually a couple.
Well, no, but that's why I'm maxing out. You know, if they're both coming from work, they drive separately. You know. But the reason I said you can attack it two ways, because essentially piggybacking off what Michael said, in terms of the sort of events out of the ordinary course of business, is that, you know, by capping the number of people, for example, that could be in attendance, or capping the number of cars, you can hit it both ways. You know, like if we cap the number of people at, say, 25, I'll just throw a number out there, you know, that's theoretically, like, first of all, 25 cars is suddenly your max. It's not gonna hit that, because you're right, you're gonna have some of them are most likely gonna be couples. And even then, these are special events, so they're gonna happen once a quarter. I mean, we can come up with whatever frequency we feel is reasonable, you know, twice a year, whatever it is. And so, you know, I think there's two different ways we can sort of go at it if we wanted to.
Just, you know, and this is just an eyeball observation, you know, from the visit that Maria and I made. It looked like there's a lot of parking space, certainly in terms of the capacity that they're anticipating.
In the horse corral?
And again, I use their numbers, and that's what.
Of course.
So I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and my concern is, again, if you stuff it in, then you suddenly, especially along that driveway, suddenly people can't get out.
No, I agree with you too, but the emergency issue,
Yeah.
like, I do think that is a concern. And so, but if you can limit the number of people.
Yeah.
If it's only for those sort of special events, I think that could potentially sort of solve things, as best we could. What additional information or items do we want from the applicant?
Just want to get another clarification about the upstairs, you know, where there's gonna be tables and chairs. Is that upstairs gonna cover most of the barn, or just a portion? I didn't ask you what percentage of the barn would be the upstairs.
The plan will be either 2/3 of it or all of it.
And how many stairways to get, you know, egress in that?
One stairway to go upstairs and 2 egress.
Oh, two, okay.
The other question I had was on lighting. I know you're talking about using, you know, the small LED lighting. And I'm not sure how much light that throws in maybe one of these days, and then I'll just have to drive by and see what it looks like. You know, part of my concern is safety. I mean, people walking on, you know, or on some days could be slippery grass, especially if they're coming down from the ring, and not necessarily having good vision as to where they're walking. So, you know, is there a need for better lighting, and what does that mean? Obviously, it needs to be full cutoff, and meet town requirements, but I am concerned about the potential lack of visibility when you're walking back and forth to the barn and to the cars. I do think that's a potential safety issue. So,
For sure. I agree. I definitely think, and you guys were just here, that the question is, do we need more light? Is the direction that the light needs to go, obviously. But we do have multiple outdoor like spotlights that we'll be able to put on, which does significantly increase it. Right now, it does not have electricity, so like when you guys came, it was much darker because we recently got we upgraded the panel in the barn itself so that it could to support like mini splits to have like heat and air conditioning and stuff, and we have not after we're done with this portion, the electrician can then figure out exactly what they need to do and get those, which will significantly make it brighter, particularly in the front of the barn towards the back of the house, which is where people would go.
Those are those pre-existing.
The pre-existing ones that were not there. And then the idea is to definitely illuminate that path a little bit more. It's not being used and not like right now. Because everybody does right now almost always park in the driveway. We have some people that go in the horse ring, but the plan is to definitely have like that so it's better. And again, in compliance with whatever codes need to be met, that goes without saying, but I definitely do want to make that a little bit better there.
Using the same lights that are being used right now.
With a mix of the same lights as well as I wanted to explore some like other options of I saw, if you know those lights, like if you're in the movie theater, how it has like those strips.
Yep.
Like an outdoor version of those that could have like along the path. I was looking into like potentially those, but I haven't looked enough into it. But whatever complies.
No, it's gonna make those really annoying.
That's what I was thinking. The snow may make those an issue, but I'm also gonna like factor in those. And I used the existing lights that we have, like the solar lights. I use those all winter. It's a lot of extra work for me, but I do maintain all of the lights so that they don't like get covered. But I make sure.
Part of me is like, we had a good winter though last year.
We did have a good winter, but I'll keep at it.
so at this point, do you or do you not plan to have any outdoor activities?
I do not plan to have any outdoor activities. It doesn't mean it's not something we would do in the future, but again, it's still on the same level as something I would do on a personal level as well. So like I may throw up a tent next week and have my son's turning 4 on Saturday. We may have a birthday party outside, something like that. I mean, I'm probably not outside at this time of year, but it's probably more just like, maybe we have like a birthday party outside and like I throw up a tent, but I'm not anticipating like these events being like outdoors. It's mainly just inside.
It's hard to dance in the grass.
Yeah, because we don't really dance in the grass.
Can that be done?
It's not easy. The turning is a little bit, a little tricky. Not as fun to dance in the grass.
Michael, do you have any outstanding questions or issues?
I just would like the board just to go over just some of those condition ideas so that I can write them accordingly. Because that's usually what I need the most assistance with, and I don't know if anyone's really made a clear position on anything.
Happy to entertain someone to kick it off.
So I just want to be clarification on the outdoor activities. I mean, aside from your personal family things, like your son's birthday party, do you anticipate like events, dance related that would be outdoors?
I don't anticipate it. It could, I mean, we could have like a dance thing inside, and like, we're very close with like, so a lot of our students, so like the people coming to our parties, for example, are 99% are regular students, and our students are long-term people that have been coming to dance with us. They've followed us from Marlboro. They've there's even like a group of them at this point that have a Thanksgiving together. So like they're all like pretty close. So these are the same people that I would have over in the summer for like a barbecue
Or our baby shower.
or our baby shower.
The overlap between our parties and the people that came to our baby shower was
It's the same people, like the
pretty
people
much
we
a
had to talk.
circle.
Yeah, it's like the same people.
So it's like 15 to 20 people. that you-
It's the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, so if they like overflowed outside,
It's like,
hang out a little, but I don't think there would be dancing.
yeah, like we had her baby shower a couple months ago. And we had a good amount of our students plus both of our families. And like, I feel like we had maybe like 30 people at our house for the baby shower. And the like the horse ring is where everybody parked, and it was maybe like a third of the way full.
And people overflowed outside to like walk around, because there's a lot of space to just walk.
Yeah, so like they like walked around, but we're not like blasting music outside and dancing, because that's why we have the dance floor inside.
Because I know in the past when we've had a situation where somebody wanted outdoor events, I won't mention any particular entity. What we've done is like we've restricted, well, in that case, the number of events. Is that something we would have to do in this case in terms of the dance studio?
I don't think we need to restrict any event, like the quantity of events. However, if we're looking for reasonable restrictions, we could like have like not an excessive amount of, and you guys can come up with an excessive amount of events that go past a certain thing. Like, okay, we don't need to put, like maybe don't have 50 events a year that are blasting music outside at 2 a.m. Like reasonable things like that.
We also don't charge our students to come to parties, so we're not really incentivized to throw 500 parties. They're just for fun.
Just parties.
Yeah.
All right, so just to kick things off, one of the issues is sort of number of participants typically in the sort of the ordinary course of business, which I would take as either private lessons or group lessons. So I have thoughts, but I'll defer to the board to start.
I think 11 or 20 is fine. I think he stated it seemed.
We're not talking special events, I'm just talking about group classes.
Number of people in the event at any given time, is that what you mean?
So the ordinary course of business here is essentially either private one-on-one classes or group classes, which the applicant has represented typically range from 3 to 10 individuals. And so I think one of the things that Michael was talking about is that typically in a special permit decision of this nature, you know, we can cap the number of individuals in a group class. Or, no, sorry, let me take that. We could typically cap the number of participants in what I would describe as the ordinary course of business, as opposed to a special event. I want to just shelve that one for a moment. And so, I mean, thoughts?
Well, again, you know, in terms of the parking, the lighting, all these things, I don't have a problem with, you know, if they have like even 20 students, because chances are, well, first of all, I think there's enough parking for 20 students, and chances are there may be fewer cars than 20 anyway, because they may be coming as couples. So you know, I think the same amount of numbers for, you know, for the classes as the parties would be fine.
So not distinguishing between the two.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do people?
That's reasonable.
Okay.
It makes it simple.
It also sounds like it's inarguable that at least 16 spots for sure, based on.
In my calculations, yeah.
That's like.
It's more than enough parking.
Within the correct.
Yeah.
Plus towards the
Yeah, I mean, they say they have 10 students now, but you know, they may get additional students, and I don't think that'd be a problem in terms of, you know, the capacity.
I believe it would be, just if we're just talking with like the horse ring, we could easily fit 31 where people could be moving with 2 lanes of stuff. So if you wanna factor, if you're looking for, like, how many can we reasonably fit for the parking, which is going to likely be a larger number than we would even want in the studio.
I think when he's doing it out by not necessarily what you can fit in, but by the regulations that they
Yeah, it's
lay
30
out,
Yeah, it's
which,
31 in the horse ring from the regulations. I was really hoping that there could be like a middle lane there, but because of the regulations,
Can't.
yeah.
And that's also using the regulations for like
Why?
the line parking, which we're not doing.
Turning radius.
So that's even kind of a gray area there. But if we were following that, it's 31 spaces.
All right, so the board's preference is to not have a distinguishing capping of participants within the ordinary course versus, say, special events, just have one number and call it a day.
Right.
Okay. One question I have, I guess, for Michael or the board, based on past experience, is they hold a special event for the dance studio, I don't know, call it a, spring fling bash. Okay. The next week, they want to throw a birthday party for a family member. How do we distinguish between a dance studio special event and I live here, this is my, I can,
One's paid, one's not.
except they just said they don't charge for their special events, right?
For most of our parties, our students come at no additional cost.
Do you charge for non-students to go, or is it just for your students?
We do charge, we'll charge like a drop-in fee, but we're talking that'll happen maybe 1 or 2 people over the course of, like, if we did a weekly party for a whole year, you'd get that happening maybe 1 or 2 times, like 1 person, so it's like a net.
So it's a business event.
Rarely that will like actually hunt anyone down.
Sorry, Andy, go ahead.
I mean, we could put a number on the total number of outdoor events over a course of a year.
Well, no, that's where I was going,
So-
except I don't wanna be in a situation where we said, all right, we can do 1 a season and have 4. And they go, well, that's great, but like, our son's turning 5 and we've had our 4 events, are we not allowed to throw a birthday party? Or this becomes an argument where someone says, you're throwing a special event. No, it's a private party, and then it just becomes completely unworkable. I'm flagging this as an issue.
Yeah.
So I would agree, it would be, unless somebody's gonna be there every day to figure out who's in and who's out, it's not gonna be able to be managed.
Right.
But I would imply that if there are students that are attending an event that, because of their fee that they paid to get an instruction, that there's some implication that that's part of why they got together.
Yeah.
Regarding birthday parties, showers, or any of those, we have no jurisdiction over
No,
that. We can't adjudicate that.
I understand that, like, I am trying to preemptively avoid
I
a
get
situation in the future.
I get it.
Where someone says, wait, you had too many events, and they're like, no, it's a big, and
But,
so,
people
Maybe
leave
if it's
to
a
live
birthday
their
party,
lives.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, I'm just saying, they have a life to lead like the rest of us. do,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Maybe if it's a birthday party, it should start like from their house and.
No,
empty out.
no,
I
no.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna start,
Don't-
I
don't cross that.
don't wanna start legislating things.
Okay.
Yes.
If I may, one thing that
I'm not talking to the members of the public right now, go ahead.
just if you're right, that's kind of like creates like a messy like gray area. Instead of like specifically putting like a limit on events, if maybe perhaps a way would be like, okay, we have this many spaces, this is how many people can reasonably be at an event, and we require the events to hit a reasonable amount of like, with the light and the sound and like whatever the typical ordinances are, so that it's not like a disruption. And then maybe if we want to like limit the amount of like outdoor, I don't think there's gonna be an issue with anything indoors, but if you wanted to like limit the amount of like events that could be outside, like past a certain hour, for example, like, okay, maybe if you have 1 or 2 events that like go to a certain time, but now you're not like having daily parties at 2 AM, you know, like you just kind of limit it in that way, or we're not like,
We're not at the
we're not up at 2 AM unless it's with the but just kind of like that, so we're not like,
So we have other businesses in town where we have occasion to say you can only do so many of these at these intervals and between these hours. I think we should be able to come up with something that would be acceptable or reasonable for this kind of a situation as well.
Okay, you have details?
Not really. I'd like to see what we have here for, you know, what the whole package looks like, but, you know, 20 of these, 5 of those, once a quarter, I don't know. But I think certainly we could contrive something that would be amenable to everyone.
All right, well, the reason I'm trying to press.
Yeah, I
is,
get it.
You know, is the fact that like Michael's gotta write something and like, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got no problem. Like I said, this isn't gonna get decided tonight, but I got no problem either, coming up with some ideas right now and putting them in, and then we can discuss it next time, or everyone can think about it.
Yeah.
And then we show up at the next meeting and you've got a draft decision with blanks and we fill them in on the fly. Like, both which are perfectly fine.
Well, it seems like the major problem is what effect does it have on the abutting properties? And if he's having, there's noise and lighting is an issue with that. If he's having it within the barn, and the noise is somewhat contained, I got a word to say about the noise too. It doesn't seem to, why we should have to limit anything, because they're not affecting the neighbors. 6 cars pull in, they go to the barn.
Yeah.
And have conversations outside, that's sometimes noisy, but there's quite a separation between his barn and the house. There's at least 200 feet.
Nope.
No, there isn't.
No public comment, please.
So, the major problem was with noise. Going by the bylaw is kind of useless, because someone complains about the noise, the event's already over. The building inspector's gonna come into the meter, oh, there's no noise there, it's just regular ambient. And we've had other projects about noise, like even the school. We brought in somebody to measure the noise levels, ambient noise levels at night. And it was noisier than you would want to believe. I mean, it was very noisy. It's hard to quantify. I think we have to take measures, maybe saying at least one of the sidings of the barn inside needs to be soundproof, which would more or less contain the sound within there. Plus there's quite a few trees in between there. And lighting, they can put spotlights on the barn. They're gonna put little lights along the driveway. They have to meet our bylaw. And they can't have any light being above the horizon. And the intensity is all covered by the bylaw.
I was also thinking along that line, whether they could have, you know, auto turn off lights, so when someone
Yeah.
walks up to it, it automatically turns on, and then after a few minutes shuts off again, so basically the
only
average is dark.
Yeah, the only concern I'm gonna tell you about that is like, all you need is that squirrel that keeps running by. I'm speaking from
It's true,
personal,
it is very true.
I'm speaking from personal experience. Those, in my opinion, those are great ideas until you've got the badger, the squirrel who's like, I'm gonna take residence up here. And that thing is flashing at 3 o'clock in the morning and nobody wants that.
Right, part of what I didn't say was that obviously they'd be shut off, let's say
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah.
ending hours are 8.
Yeah. I
They
think
shut off
it's
at that
10.
point and they don't turn back on until you physically turn them on.
Energized.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
we do currently already have smart lights in place. And we usually keep them at a very warm color, the ones that are out there, so we'll like have like a pink or a red, so it's not too like fluorescent-y, and it does automatically shut off at the end of the day. And if in regards to the sound, again, we don't anticipate a crazy amount of sound. I'm not sure if this makes a difference, but our property is technically considered a farm. So we do have a horse license. So it is farmland, which I had a conversation with the chief of police, I believe, who kind of went over that there's not necessarily like a noise ordinance that goes with that, not that we would be looking to abuse it in any way, but
We have babies that need to sleep.
Well, we don't have
Yeah.
a noise ordinance anyway.
Yeah, we don't
More-
have a noise
More, you know,
ordinance.
whatever the decibels say.
and by far the closest house to the barn is my barn, where I'm gonna have an infant and a 4-year-old that need to be sleeping. Right now, we teach it in our house, where the 4-year-old sleeps just fine with all the noise. We're making 2 rooms over. So, and you can't, when you put it at full volume, if you, it's right off of, like, we have like a slider door onto our deck. If you put it in 100% volume and you close the slider door and you're just standing on the deck, you can't hear it. So it's,
Am I also reading this correctly, that right now, you don't do classes on the weekends?
not typical, I mean, we do on occasion, but we advertise Monday through Friday. And then we'll teach by appointment, usually on Saturdays. We try to keep it Saturday afternoons as much as we can, just because we wanna have a life too. And we wanna have some time to ourselves. And then most of the weekend things are things that we'll have, like shows or competitions or things that we are doing not in the studio. So like on Saturday nights, I have Nutcracker rehearsals, and that's at a different location.
Of course.
And stuff like that.
But you wouldn't have anything like on a morning, Saturday or Sunday?
We do on occasion, but it's like one couple will come in for a lesson at like 11 AM. But that's just, we don't like specifically advertise it, because we don't wanna commit to being open every weekend. Some days we just like to have it as our house.
And that. Okay, are there? I don't wanna go round and round just for the sake of going round and round. So do we wanna just pause here, continue the next time, the idea of filling in the blanks at that time? Or do we wanna try to do that now? I'm agnostic.
I'd rather pause and fill in the blanks another time, if that's okay, just in case, you know, we have other things we wanna ask, and I don't wanna prolong this here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, actually. I think that we've gone longer than we should have. So, but I'm not intending, I'm not suggesting we close the hearing anyway at this time either. I wanna keep it open. With the idea of we can close and do a decision. Maybe next time. Go ahead.
Michael could send out his gray areas that he'd like us to think about.
I think is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's.
And if you could
and then we can come back with thoughts.
Yes.
Some ideas.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Do we wanna take public comments now, or
Not today.
just pause and do it?
That's what I don't wanna close the public hearing.
Yeah.
I have
Oh.
one question. Have there been any, like, complaints or anything currently with the business the way it's running?
I don't know, but we can table that and talk about it next time, to the extent that it hasn't been submitted already. Okay. In that case, I'll entertain a motion.
So we're gonna continue it to our next meeting.
Yes.
The next regular scheduled meeting is November 4th. There's one public hearing scheduled at 7:15.
Is that matches?
No, that is 16 Pine Point Road,
Shed.
and it's a shed, yes.
That's at 10:15.
7:15, so I would recommend 7:45.
Sounds good.
I move to continue the hearing till October November 4th at 7:45.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion second. We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, we'll see everyone back here November 4th at 7:45. Please get out of here.
Sounds good.
And I say that as politely as I possibly can.
Will we have a third?
Yeah. Thank you all.
And good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Let's bring up my agenda. The only thing that was on the agenda was sort of future planning, which was, now that we're done with, the comprehensive permit, we have a little bit more time on our hands. And whether or not we wanted to sort of revisit a few things that have been sort of hanging out there for quite a while in terms of updates, in terms of bylaws and policies and things of that nature. One of which was, and actually I think this was on me, was we were going to include like an appendix, like
Variances.
exactly, of like the examples and all that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to revive that and bring it back up to the fold, for people to take a look at, to kind of dust that off. But Michael had sort of set forth a number of things that we could take a look at, if we were so inclined. So I'm happy to take just a couple minutes to discuss if there's any items that on the list that Michael put together that we want to talk about, or put on the agenda for. It's really about putting on the agenda for future meetings, and if there's work that needs to be done beforehand, that we could do that. I mean, one issue about, it might be interesting in terms of the comprehensive permit, rules and regs and the policies now that we've gone through this, are there things that we want to fix, improve, update, change?
Yeah, if you were to prioritize these, what do you think would be the 1, 2, 3s? Is there a sequence to those?
What do you really want to do?
I would like the regular rules and regulations to be amended. There are some, just cleanup that needs to happen where it references things that no longer exist, and the appendices don't line up with what they really are anymore. And then I was considering a revised application form. Because for every application I've gotten so far, I've just been sitting with people going over how to fill it out. So if we could maybe work on making it a little bit easier for.
More user friendly.
Yeah, making it more user friendly.
That should be a simple one to do.
And I've looked at other zoning board of appeals application pages, and they have kind of like check boxes for materials to submit.
Yeah.
And I think that would make it a little bit easier for residents to know what is expected in an application, because they.
So the form kind of does that now. Where's the confusion of what you think is kind of inhibiting some of that?
Is the instructions?
I mean, there's checkbox, this is check, put it in the bin, put your space, put these.
There's always this moment where you're like, how do we make it easier?
Well, simplification is good, but what's causing the problem that wants you to want to do this?
A lot of residents don't know where to get the information.
Okay, that's not an
Which
application
is-
problem.
Yes. For me, when I process the applications, I have to assign it a volume and page number. And there's no spot on that form.
Okay,
And there's no spot for me to actually stamp it as received.
okay,
So something like that.
but
There
the
are,
acquisition of information is a different problem, right? At least.
You're talking about in terms of the things that the applicant has to.
Yeah, if I gotta go
Yeah.
find this, the application, whether it's, landscape or, portrait isn't gonna help out, if you're gonna go find something, unless there's some guidance, you can say, go here for this, go there for that.
yes, so the application form might not need too much work, but considering a guidance form
Yeah.
for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And another one that I saw was, it was saying a form that said like site plan, and you initial next to it to say that you submitted it. And then it says, if not provided, justify why. And then it had lines for you to fill that out. So something like that could be incorporated into another page of the application form. Because we've experienced some applicants come in and say, I don't need a site plan, and then the board requests a site plan. So making them stop and really prove why they don't need one, or any other materials, for that matter.
So you need a checklist where you can go through with them and say, you're gonna need this, 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 and this.
And it's,
Where to find it.
it is all in the rules and regulations, but
They have to go through it, find it, read it. understand it.
yes. And when people come in, I do give them a copy of it, but I don't know if they end up actually reading it.
So let's start with the simple one. Let's start with the application. That seems like not an excessive amount of effort to put it in position that we could review in a short period of time. And let's see how successful that is, and then we'll work on the next piece of work. How's that sound?
We can do that.
Okay. What's the easiest way to handle it? I mean, I'm not exactly envisioning that 7 of us are gonna type of edits and come together at the same time. I'm not trying to dump on you going, why don't you update it the way you want it to? We'll take a look at it, but so I'm open to doing it however you want. I mean, we could just kind of all take a look at it and, you know.
For the next meeting, you can all take a look at the form and just see if there's anything that you would like changed.
Okay.
I know that's what I use most. I don't know how often you really go through every detail because I generally end up writing a staff memo that outlines all that information.
That's right, you give us the Cliff Notes version.
So maybe if there's anything that sticks out to you at the next meeting, you can provide just some comments. And I can provide some additional edits as well. We can discuss that.
Yeah, so
and
the
then,
pieces that you called out about, how to stamp it, how to do this, that, and guidance, those are all good ads.
Yeah.
It sounds like if you sort of took the lead and said, here are the 5 things I think would make this a whole lot better, that might guide us.
Yeah, all right, so why don't we do this? How about you sort of come up with, I mean, the reality is you're on the front line. And so you're the one saying, why does everyone keep making the same mistake? Why does everyone keep believing this one? Why do people not understand this? So I would feel free to take it upon yourself. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be dumping, I'm not trying to do that. I just think you get
But he's the user, right? So
that's right.
You have the requirements.
Right, and so, because the idea too behind this, my thinking is that if people fill it out correctly and well, it actually makes your job easier. So I would suggest that we'll do this twofold. You go through the application and basically go, these are the things that I think need to be changed, added, or whatever. The rest of us can sort of take a look at it from our own perspective, and we'll come up with our own ideas. If you have your red line version, or however you want, and you want to send us, send that to us ahead of time, so we can be ready at the meeting to go, hey, numbers 1 through 6 look awesome. We don't think you need 7. We can do that.
Okay, that was great.
And so, and my thinking is, let's put that on the agenda for November 4th. But if for whatever reason, based on the fact of the 2 hearings I know that we're gonna have that day, things go long, we can just bump it. And deal with it in December, because I think December is quiet.
yes.
Okay.
So I can't make November 4th. Would that have to possibly change something around if I needed to?
You're on the masters.
Yeah, well,
That one we
It's
can,
October 28th, isn't it?
That's the
yes,
first one, that's assuming we're done then.
yes, I
Could.
am optimistic that it'll be done on the 28th.
okay.
And if it's not,
We'll do a special.
we can
Yeah.
always do a special
We
one.
can do a special for just that,
Okay,
so.
It's
So
just-
we'll make it work.
we could always change it around. It's my son's birthday and he's got family coming, but he's so young, he doesn't know what day, so.
How many people are you gonna have there?
Hmm?
How many people are you gonna have there?
Yeah, right.
We have chairs.
Tries to issue a special permit restricting how many people she could have at the
Don't worry,
birthday
I
party.
make my family pay me.
So, no, but thanks for bringing that, worst case scenario, we can do special.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about the 2 things will be, I'll dust off the appendix piece. We'll put that on the agenda as well, and the reason is not because I think that we're gonna get to all of it, but if it's once it's on the agenda, it's easier to bump it to the next one. And then we'll do the application, and then we'll go after the other stuff after that. Just in terms of looking ahead, we just talk logistics for just 1 minute, and then we'll go. So, I'm not looking for comment, I'm just checking off who's done what. Who has done a site visit for 688 Great Road, which is Masters? Has anyone done a site visit yet?
No,
A bunch of us are going this week.
Okay, all right. I'm going tomorrow. Who's coming with me?
Who's gonna be there?
You're gonna be there.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Just wanna make sure, because I knew I was on this. All right, so there's that. We have the October 28th, right?
Yes,
Okay, that's 688 Great Road, and that's a special just for that day.
yes,
Okay, and then November 4th, we've got the shed at,
60 Pine Point.
thank you, and then 56 Harvard.
And
Yes.
I probably won't be around for that, because I'm not on either of those, I don't think.
Okay, all right, that's fine. And we can have, well, an associate member take care of 68 Pine Point. And then anything in December, just like grass so far?
No, nothing for December.
Okay. Trying to think, anything else?
Just a quick confirmation.
Yeah.
On the 28th, is that at 7?
Yes, it's at 7 o'clock and it's the only thing on the agenda.
Okay.
And the reason, and I think that the reason why we did things backwards, having the site visits ahead of time is in order to sort of expedite things, so we can discuss and decide everything that night if we can.
Okay.
So if we can't, then that's fine, I'm not trying to pressure anyone.
Yeah.
But I think that's sort of been the motivation.
So while we're on that topic, did you see my note about the diagrams and being able to amplify them?
Yes, I haven't had the chance yet to respond. I can ask the applicant for some additional materials.
So just for everybody else's benefit, when I looked at the, I think it's the C1,
I just wanna be careful.
can we do this now?
It's administrative. Get the information.
It's just, so if I was to look at a plan and I saw a lighting plan, I would nice if I could see how the indirect and direct lights might show up on a plan. Do you think that would be an appropriate discussion to have with the applicant?
The zoning bylaw does not regulate indirect light. So I don't know how much reach the board could have in requesting.
You can ask, right?
You can ask,
Right.
the board could ask.
Because if we were to look at a very large piece of property, it's very difficult to try to assimilate, at least for me anyway, to visualize what that might look like across multiple acres of land.
Okay.
So to be able to see that in a diagram would be helpful for me personally, anyway.
Or, I guess, just asking, do you need a photometric plan that shows how bright it is in certain spots?
Well, that would be nice, but what I was really trying to see, or would like to be able to observe, is how it splashes down onto the property and off of the property.
There is a plan, there's a plan there that has that.
It does have
There's a
that.
movement there.
Right.
We have to be really careful not to discuss it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're talking conceptually.
Yeah.
All right,
Do I have to sit over here now?
no, it's fine, because we're not discussing it. So, okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, anything else of a logistical scheduling nature, just want to kind of do that.
Are you going Thursday, Ruth?
Sorry about the mute button. Yeah, you and I are both going at 8:30 on Thursday.
Okay,
It's a patty.
yeah,
Would you like me at any of those meetings?
At the site visits?
Yes, I've already done a site visit. I don't know.
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not trying to exclude, if you want to, you're more than welcome to, but, I don't think.
I did site visits with the planning board and they took about an hour, but they have a much larger scope. So I'm assuming it'll probably be 20 minutes or so, maybe 30.
It needs to be, because I have a meeting fairly shortly after that.
Yeah.
And so then am I solo on Wednesday?
No, I'm going on Wednesday.
Okay.
Alright, and I'm sorry, I know it's in the email, how do we get it, so we drive onto the property?
Yeah. Down the parking lot.
straight ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, once you just go to the end of harvest,
I'm assuming they'll be doing one there.
yes. And the applicant
I'd
tries
say,
to.
do they bring the cider
Gar,
donuts or? Do they bring the cider donuts or do we bring them up? Or Andy's gonna bring it.
Yeah, depends on where it is. Okay.
They'll
anything
never
else?
sriracha, it's gone before it gets there.
Do you have anything else?
No.
Excellent, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we adjourn the meeting at
Second.
8:45.
Do a motion, we have a second, any discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned, 8:46.
Night, you guys.
Good night.
Right.